Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is John. I'm a filmmaker slash creator and your host for Make Limited Podcast, where we talk about how to change your circumstances when life happens. In other words, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Today, we'll be talking about one of my favorite quotes, and that is, if you still have breath in your lungs, you still have time. What's going on, everyone? Once again, your host here, John with Make Limited Podcast. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite quotes, right? Now, if you've had a favorite quote, make sure that you leave that in our website. Let us know what your favorite quote is, right? Or you can send it to us here on Anchor and let us know what your favorite quote is through the message so that we can read it and be encouraged, as you will be encouraged today with our podcast on my favorite quote of the day. So this quote actually came when I was going through the process of a heart attack. And the reason why it was, if you still have breath in your lungs, you still have time, it's because one of the things that I realized when I had a heart attack was that life at any time can just vanish. It's like a breath, or if you've been in the cold and you've done that, the right. I don't know what it's called, but you have that like smoke coming out of your mouth because of the heat, and you have this little like smoke come out, and then it just vanishes in the air, and that's literally life for us. I mean, we're here one day and we're gone the other day. But the beautiful thing that we can do is right now in the present do something about it. And that's why that quote came out, where if you still have breath in your lungs, you still have time. The reason why, it's because no matter what, no matter where you're at, you have the opportunity right now, today, to make something happen for your life. And that's why it's one of my favorite quotes in my life, and I've used it through time, and any situation when I feel maybe that it's not working, I have questions, I'm doubting, I know that this quote has always brought me back to life, has always brought, my motivation back to me, because I've realized that one of the best motivators in your life that you will ever have is yourself. And because other people will be there, you'll be able to listen to them, you'll be able to hear them, but you will never have them 24/7 like you have your own self in your mind and your heart. So always be your own best motivation. And so let's talk about this quote, right? Let's talk about it. Let's get a little deeper into it and see how you can use this for your life. Okay. Now, like I was saying, many of us, and not everyone, right? There's some people that are self-motivated, but for those who are not, for those who like at times have a hard time finding that motivation to push yourself, this quote here is the key, or is a key, right? Because I like to say that there are many keys to success, right? And I've already explained, if you haven't heard my podcast on success, where I talk about success and I give my 2 cents about success, go watch it now. As you are, hearing this podcast, pause it, go and hear it, because it's super important, right? Because I think that many people with success, what they do is they think that it's a one-time thing. And success is actually not a one-time thing. Success is a process that you complete. It's completion. It's something that you start and it has an end. That is success. You were successful in finishing that process, and now you're moving on to a different process. And believe it or not, you've actually been more successful in your life than what you think. I think that if you go into your life and you look at just the big things that you have done, many people will be disappointed, right? Because they're like, well, I didn't go to college. Well, I didn't have an education. Well, I just went to work, right? And the thing is that is, an accomplishment. That is one success that someone has had. But that is not counting all the successes that you have had in your life. For example, when you were trying to lose weight, you had the success when that day when you actually followed your diet. That was successful. You were successful in that day and you completed that day strong. Another thing can be like maybe, you were procrastinating and one day you just beat that procrastination and you overcame that. That right there was success. You tasted it, you felt it, you were all in it. You were a part of that success. You made that success. You did it. And so when it comes to, when you're feeling that maybe in your life there hasn't been something that you have been able to accomplish, maybe you feel depressed, or you feel, know that if you still have breath in your lungs, you still have time. You still have time to make that difference, to make that change. And one of the stories that I've actually heard, because, when people hear me say that, they take it in two ways. One, they're very positive about it, and two, they're like, well, you're super young. What do you know, right? And so I agree. But the one thing that I figured out is that history in itself reveals things that, we don't see right now in our eyes because we're so focused on what we're doing in our lives, right? That's why history for me is super important, because why it's something that is repetitive to the fact that our human nature never changes. We all have the same human nature inside of us, to be good or to be bad or to be evil, right? And so that's why it's something to look in the past, because people who have been about in their 80s, or even more, have done things successfully. Okay, and now successful again does not mean that you did a multi-million company and my goodness, that's success. Success is very different for many people. Success for some people is just being able to provide for their family, having a good home, making sure everyone is happy and healthy. That is success. For some is a mother raising kids and being able to, making sure that they all have good relationships, that they're all well taken care of, and that is success for her. You see, there are many types of success, not just one. Okay, if you have been right now overwhelmed by a situation, let's say for example you are looking on social media and you're seeing these people talk about like getting rich and fast ways to make income and so on and so forth. Let me tell you something. Money is gonna be there and it's gonna come, it's gonna go, it's gonna come, it's gonna go, it's gonna come, it's gonna go. Okay, we're gonna spend it on something. We're gonna reap that expenditure. Either we're going to lose it or we're going to get money back from it, but in some way that money is going to go into someone else's hand, or it's going to go back into your hand. And that's the process that you need to know about money. The second thing you need to know is that success doesn't always have to do with money, doesn't always have to do with being rich. Success, like I said, I give you examples about a mother and a dad who just wants to have their kids healthy, want to have healthy relationships, want them to be happy, right? And that's the process of here, that we all have a perspective that we see things. Okay, and like I was saying, when you see certain areas in your life, you're only looking through that perspective. Okay, one of the things that I dislike, but it's the truth of a quote, is what you don't care about, you don't think about. And that is super, super true. Because let's say for example, right now I am not thinking about McDonald's, right? Let's just take that for example. What does that mean? I'm not thinking about food. I'm not. I just ate food, so I'm super full, and I'm not thinking about food. So what does that mean? I don't care about McDonald's right now at the moment, right? So whatever situation you're in, you're only thinking about what you actually care about in the moment. Okay? Can we agree? Okay, good. So that is a perspective. So if you are narrowed into a belief, if you are narrowed into something that you only are targeting to because that's directly what you've been into. For example, careers. A good example in careers is people who get doctor's degree. Not everyone who gets a doctor's degree works in the hospital, okay, or has a medical license, right? There's many doctor's degrees that are not even in the medical field. And that's because there are levels of education that certain, let's say, certain degrees or certain careers need. Some careers just need a master's. Some careers need all the way to a doctor's degree. Some careers just need a bachelor's. Some careers just need an associate's. Some careers don't even need to go to college. Some careers just need a certificate course and they're in, right? And my point is, we all have a perspective that we look through. And that perspective is a closed-minded perspective. If there's one thing that I've learned, and again, I'm gonna quote you from the Bible, paraphrase, of course, when Paul is telling the one of the churches, I don't remember which one, but one of the churches, that when they are to talk to unbelievers, right, they are to sit down and talk to them, not in argument, but to share information with each other, to discuss what they know. And this process here is beautiful. Why? Because you go in with what you believe, right? They come in with what you believe, and you share that information to each other, right? And whoever chooses to believe the other, or if they don't choose to believe, then they're fine. They go back to their own worlds, but they were able to do something in unity without argument about, hey, my religion is better than yours. But instead learning, applying that, why people believe in certain things, right? So that's the process that I want you to take into consideration, because it's super important, especially in the world that we're in right now, and the moment as the young generation is really pushing to being noticed, being very how can I say, very depicting on what they want to be seen as. And that is so important, because you need to know how to talk to them. You need to know how to talk to people, in other words, and be able to hear their side and be able to understand it, and then being able to respond with your response, and hoping that as you respect it, they respect you as well for the same thing. And if they don't, then you just walk away. There's no point of creating war, creating chaos. There is no point. Strive for peace, strive for unity, because that's what matters. That's what moves us forward in this world. And so, whatever you're doing, and in the point of perspective of success, we all see it differently. Okay, maybe you're stuck in a place where you're only looking at success in one area, but success comes in many different areas. You can be successful in many different ways. And so back to the story that I was going to tell you with, I don't know if you've ever heard the story of the KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. And so that story is so powerful, okay? It was a man that worked, he just wanted to work. He was a working man. And long story short, he had a recipe that I believe was from his family, and that recipe he was able to create it. And he actually went from in his area, he went to sell that recipe, or his chicken recipe, in the stores, and he was rejected many times, until one store actually gave him a chance, and he started selling and selling and selling. And it wasn't until I don't recall at this moment he actually created his own store. If he had, I think he probably did have. But my surprise when I heard the story behind this was that he actually didn't make like Kentucky Fried Chicken what it is today. But there was actually a person who invested in his recipe, invested in what he was doing, because it was different, it was good, and it was different. And so he invested in his stores. He made multiple stores, and he actually used the way what the model was actually the person or the person that we see now that is the face of Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? KFC. He actually made the store into a franchise, but not just in the United States. It was worldwide, that he was able to distribute all these stores into different locations of the world and sell his recipe. And it was so beautiful, because he was able to get a portion of that. I think he was living off like $200,000 a year. because he didn't own them. But since he was the face of it, that's how much he would get paid a year for just having his face on the Kentucky Fried Chicken store or restaurant. I mean, so my point to that was that in hearing the story, the success wasn't as a happy ever after ending story that I would have hoped or imagined, right? My perspective was he owned the stores, he built the stores, but to hear that he actually went to around to stores to sell his recipe, to get himself out there, because not because he needed money, not because he needed to provide this, provide for his family or anything like that. All he really did was he wanted to share his recipe with people in his town, and he wasn't wanting something big, he wasn't wanting something great, but he just wanted to do that, right? And what he did, he shared it and he shared it until he found somebody who actually enjoyed the recipe and wanted to make the recipe even bigger than what he hoped or imagined. So, what does that mean for you and me? That means that whatever you're doing and the process of moment of time, whatever you are doing, make sure that you enjoy what you're doing. Okay, whether it be, you're trying to start a business, maybe you're trying to, side hustle, you need to do something to provide for your family. Make sure, first of all, that you yourself are happy. Okay, and the reason why I say this is because if for some reason you are unhappy with what you're doing, it's going to be really hard to live that life. And again, happiness is just an emotion, okay? It's just an emotion. So there's going to be a time when you're going to be happy, you're going to be sad, you're going to be mad, and you're going to be happy once again. So make sure that what you're doing is something that makes you happy. Okay? Very, very important. Because if you enjoy it, your family will benefit from the seeds that you've been planting. As a paraphrase, as an example, the seeds you've been planting, you will reap that which you sowed. Okay, and if you sowed good stuff, you're gonna get good stuff back. If you sow bad stuff, you're gonna get bad stuff back. Because whatever you sow, you're gonna reap it back. And it's gonna be either good, it's gonna be bad. If you reap bad, it's gonna come back to you worse. If you reap good, it's gonna come back to you in abundance of joy. So, again, make sure that it's something that you want to do. Okay, if we're taking, for example, business, right? You want to start your own business. You want to start doing something. Do something that you like doing, right? That you enjoy doing it. Why? Because when it comes to the end, when you're just focused on that and not focusing like, oh, I need to make this much so that people can buy, and I need to get this many customers, then you start becoming somebody who forgets what they were doing there in the first place. Okay, and you get bad customer service, you get bad employees, you get bad reviews, and all of that is just a ripple from what you could have avoided in the beginning to what it is now. So you take KFC, the Colonel, and you see the life that he went through. He just wanted to share his recipe so that people could taste it and enjoy it as much as he did. And so he did everything he could at the age. Remember, at this age, he was already like 80 something. Okay, he didn't start from like 20s, 30s, or 40s trying to share his recipe. No, and this time he was just working. He was just a hard-working man, and when it came to this time, he just wanted to get into cooking because he actually liked cooking. It was something that he enjoyed. It was one of the things that gave him that happiness to cook. And whatever happiness that is for you, that is good, make sure that you apply it in your life, that you keep on working on it, even if you can't have that business yet, right? Let's say you're working right now. Well, keep on perfecting your recipes. Keep on perfecting, maybe you need to have a list of, let's say you need to have a list of food that you want to have in the restaurant. Let's say you're a burger joint, or you are a, fried chicken joint, or a pizza place. The point is that you're working on getting your recipes, on tasting and making sure that when people eat there, it's going to be the best pizza that they ever eaten, or the best chicken, or the best burger. Why? Because if you still have breath in your lungs, you still have time. That is today. Today is the day to do something. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Because if you wait for tomorrow, we don't even know if that's promised to us. Yesterday, we can't go back. But today, we can make it happen. Today, by just, let me just relieve you of, maybe you have anxiety or stress. Let me just relieve you right now. By just a thought, you can relieve yourself from the stress and make your dreams come true from just a thought. Okay? That's how powerful a thought is. We never give too much thought, right, into our thoughts because we're just thinking. But in reality, those were dreams. If you go out, if you're in the day, right, if you're going to work or whatever, or the next day, look at the buildings, look at the businesses. Those were other people's dreams that are now reality. Okay? Not all perfect, okay? There's some good, there's some bad. But that was somebody's dream. I mean, if you're sitting down in a chair, that was somebody's thought process. To do what? To help us sit down when our legs are tired. To help our bodies. If you see around this, maybe you have water. Somebody made a machine to help us drink clear water that is healthy for our bodies, right? Or good to drink. If you're inside your house, look at your lights. Somebody made that light, and that light has been going through a process of elevation so that it could be better, modern, and it could actually help you save light. All these things that you see around you was someone's idea. So what am I saying? With a thought, you can change anything. You can make your dreams come true with just a thought. That's where it starts. That's where your dream starts. So, are you still breathing? Is your lung producing breath for you? Then you still have time. Please don't wait. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for when you have time. So many times we wait until we have the perfect opportunity. And that perfect opportunity can come in different disguise. Maybe you're waiting to have the right money amount. Or maybe you're waiting for next year when you're going to be a little bit more free to be able to do things in your life. No, start now. There are millions of videos that have been on YouTube that you can learn from. Millions. And they're free. The second thing that you can do, you can actually go to free courses that are online. That you can go and see them. The third thing you can do, you can pay for courses that people are giving, or companies are giving, brands are giving, and you can learn. Fourth thing, you can go to your social media that offer free resources. It is available to you today. We have had the most available resources in the entire history of mankind to learn and to grow and to really develop our ideas to move forward. Okay, guys? So listen closely, because this is very important. Your thought has the process to create anything. Sometimes we think we can't do something. Like right now, if you are thinking about like becoming a coder, a coder that deals with computer and knows about coding, and you're like, man, I would love to do that, but it's too much. Like I wouldn't be able to. Well, because you already thought that you couldn't be able to, you're not going to be able to. You remember what I said? Your thoughts are more powerful than what you think. Your thoughts can create good things or can destroy. So you can destroy your own life by your own thoughts, by telling yourself that you can't do something. The moment that you think is the moment that it happened. Our thoughts are stronger and more powerful than you think. That's when I say, if you still have breath in your lungs, you still have time. You still have time to make that change. You still have the time to really come back to what you were doing, what you wanted to do in your life. Why? Because life is short. And when I say life is short, it's because I experienced a situation that almost took my life. And I realized that there was more to life than just doing nothing. So, if you want more motivation, if you want more inspiration, you can come to my podcast where I talk about how to find your career. I talk about things that you can do to stay consistent. I talk about, motivational things that push you forward to becoming the better human that you can be. So this is why I do. This is what Make Limited does, because we all go to a situation that life gives us, unexpectedly. But it's what we do in those moments that matters. And so what I decided to do with my moment was turn it around. Instead of, dwelling on it, instead of, falling into that pit, that it was hard. It wasn't easy, I'll tell you that much. It wasn't easy. But I was able to turn that around. And through that process of creating podcasts, creating a video where people can see my story, and knowing how it helped thousands of people, I know that it was worth it. I know that it was worth it. That thought process that I went through my mind of, if I make this video, it can help people. It can help people who are going through a situation like me, being a young person who had to go through the process of finding ways to pay off my bill, finding ways to find the right doctor, of doing research myself so the doctors won't just tell me stuff and I don't know what they're talking about, and just giving medication as testing. It's stuff that we need to know. Not, you don't get professionally at it, but you get to know these things so that you can share with others. So in case they're going through something, you can help them. You have that opportunity to be a helping hand. So, and when I'm saying this quote, this is it right here. You still have time. If you still have breath in your lungs, you're still breathing right now, this moment, you still have time. Alright everyone, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm glad that you joined our Make Limited podcast. Again, you can go visit our website where you can see more and more of this podcast, and you can actually see it online with you. Put it on play and see everything that is going on with Make Limited. You can also help us, you can share us, you can donate and help our Make Limited podcast keep on going. We can give you more episodes like this when you can get encouraged and elevate your life to be better humans. So thank you so much everyone for being here for today. I hope you were motivated and encouraged, and that you are doing great, and that this message really touched your heart, and that today that it's better to do something today than to do it tomorrow or yesterday. And remember, you still have breath in your lungs, you still have time. We'll talk to you later, guys. Peace.